All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm going to try to make this YouTube friendly. I'm going to try my best. I'm joined once again with Polny. A lot of people are saying your predictions came to a bust, Bo. I'm getting a lot of emails. A lot of people are upset. You're going to have your chance to state your case here, brother. So I'm going to give you that. But let's kick off the show first with Noble Gold, folks. You know, it's almost 2023 and nothing's really changed, has it? The year's ending. And things are now even more expensive than they were at the start. We all love the holidays, and they're not too great if you can't afford them, are they? And this is just the beginning for what looks to be a very bad recession. But it's not too late to avoid the same thing happening again. Thousands of people have retired comfortably with the help of Noble Gold Investments and their precious metal IRAs. If you've been a hesitant investor, but one of the handful of Americans who go from gold and who can go for the gold and silver, now's the time to act. Talk to an expert member of the team today. If you get in before the end of the month, you'll bag an incredible 3-ounce silver 𝗏𝗏 coin with every qualified IRA of $20,000 or above. This is a hell of a deal, folks. I am involved with Noble Gold. Call the team now, 877-646-5347 to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com, Noble Gold Investments, and remember, there's always a risk of a loss, and past performances do not indicate or future results. So, folks, go to Noble Gold Investments. Hit the link below. Hit the link below. All right, Bo, let's get started. Where do you want to kick this off? Where do you want to take it from here?
Well, the first thing is let's actually go back to our prior interview. That's the best place to start, right?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Okay.
So
I'm just saying, Bo, I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying what the audience is saying. All right.
That's fine.
Okay.
And that's totally fine. So first off, we're going to play a clip from that interview.
Okay. You're going to play it.
And also behind me, every interview that I've ever done with you, what's written on the poster behind me? The analyst of what?
I don't know.
Time.
The analyst of time. Okay. I know some events have happened, but I don't think they were the ones you were predicting.
That's right, because I don't analyze events, I predict time.
Okay.
So let's play the video, and then you tell me.
Okay, go for it.
There we go.
You're playing it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to play it here. Hit the share, and then there you go.
We've never seen anything like this.
Right, because this is the fall of a 2,500 year prophecy.
Well, what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? My audience is going to be on you for that.
Let them be. And all I know is that God the Father has shown me things that I know are about to come to pass. All I'm saying is by the end of this year,
you're saying it begins the 24th of October.
Well, no, it already started with the class.
Yeah, it has started. You're right, but October 24th is what?
Going to be. No, we should be able to see it on the 24th in the physical, like something crazy starting to happen. Okay.
Wow. So we mailed it on the 20th of October, and they received it on the 21st because we mailed it overnight, U.S. mail, and then they docketed it on Monday, the 24th. And if you see, you can go to 7discoveries.com and you can actually
Monday, October 24th.
October 24th. Yeah. So
it's interesting. It's Bo Polny, I think. That's pretty interesting. All right. Bo Polny was talking about that date. Wow.
Oh,
all right.
Interesting dates here.
Yeah. All right, Phil. Hit the stop button there. All right. There you go.
All right. Okay. All right.
So I don't know what people.
My spine.
Right. So all I'm telling you is.
And I hope that plays for my audience because I had to take my mic out. Sometimes it doesn't play.
Yeah. No. And so the point being is that if people want me to analyze, if people want events, they should go listen to prophets. Okay. I'm not a prophet. God's shown me the ability to calculate timelines. So I calculate timelines.
But didn't you predict markets would crash from 10/24 to 11/11, massive fail for the markets? I mean,
right. And
you did say that.
Yeah, I did say that too. But that was a possibility that could have happened, but it hasn't yet. Okay. And so what we're waiting for at this point, Nino, is simply a moment in time when God intervenes. So, of all the people you've had on your show, Nino, no one's gotten it right to understand how this is going to play out. No one. Okay.
Listen, I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
no
what we're
one's
seeing
psychic. No one is
Yes.
psychic. So
That's right. So what we're seeing happen right now is pieces being fulfilled. Pieces are coming. Look what happened just yesterday, you know, where this as Friday ended, right? The Twitter stuff came out, right? So the point is, everything's starting to come out. And what was the key thing? There could have been a market crash in October, didn't happen. But what did I say a year and a half ago? A year and a half ago on Greg Hunter and a few other interviews, I said that the markets would drop in the month of September. Nino, I nailed that to the month. The markets in September dropped 12%. And that was predicted a year and a half ago. Okay. So if people want perfection, they should definitely go find God. Okay. Because I am not God. Neither are you. But I do know, like this morning, you know, I got a visual from you, and I got a visual when I was waking up, usually when I get it. And basically it was very simple. You know, it was a word message to you. Basically, God said he loves you. And he actually, the interesting thing that I got was I got this black forest, right? And I got a spotlight coming through it. And it basically showed, you know, it basically was a representation of what you're doing. It was basically you shining a spotlight through all the darkness. So it's interesting, but you know, I just heard the name Nino.
Serving a purpose here.
Yes, and that's what I got. You know, so my point is I'm not a prophet, but I get pieces. Just like when I speak with you sometimes, you know, you'll get little pieces sometimes. And you know, when you hear the truth, you know it's the truth. Right.
That's why I have you on, because, and this is, I'm going to be honest with you and my audience. I bring you on because I know it resonates with me. I know it's coming. You know, I don't have dates, but I know you're a man of God, and I know you're trying to make best with your visions or what you're feeling. And I think you are in the sphere of this all happening. So, and I know we're coming close. I mean, look, like you said, the Brunson case, the Twitter dumps, it's all coming out. And I think this is moving us closer and closer and closer to what I think could be, and I don't want to go far into this, but redemption for a lot of Americans, in the sense that I think military tribunals are a thing to come.
Well, and think about I think our first interview, what we talked about, right, was we literally said, I just said in the interview, none of this is going to happen until we get into September 24th, because that was the start of God's new year. Okay. You know, we talked about that, and look what's happened since September 24th. All these things start coming out. And actually that Brunson case, Nino, the Brunson case, this is rather fascinating, but how the Brunson thing is played out so far is biblical. That's what I want you and your viewers to really understand. I want to share this screen with you, because it really is crazy how this thing is playing out. But if you look at the Brunson case, the writ was received, if you can see this here, on Friday, September 23rd. Nino, the next day is Elul 29 and Rosh Hashanah, basically God's new year. Now, you know, the Supreme Court could not receive it on the 24th because it's a Saturday. So what is the possibility? How incredible is this? But you're seeing God work through people, just like, you know, of old, you know, God, you chose the 12 apostles. These were nobodies, but they chose, God chooses people who are not high up on the totem pole, but low in the totem pole, only to raise them up. And that's what we're watching. So, you know, the fact that this thing, the writ was received on Friday, September 23rd.
Guess when it's being heard. Do you know when it's being heard?
Okay, so then the docket was, again, let's continue. The docket was received on the date that I basically said was a very important biblical date. Historically, in 1929, that was a date that markets broke support and started to crash. And the interview we did, word was began and the word started. Here in this case, it's not the stock market, but this is the start, because the case was docketed, making it an official case in the Supreme Court. So this started what's about to lead to horrific things for these people in charge. The dates here are critically important because it's all playing out biblically. And then the case was supposed to be heard on November 23rd. Okay. because remember the 24th was important, but the 24th is Thanksgiving. So the Supreme Court's closed again, right? But and then it was a series of miracles because on that date, they filed, there was a waiver of right to respond by the United States was filed, which was literally, the day before the 24th, because the 24th is Thanksgiving. And then and so we're supposed to hear something possibly, maybe, anytime, but possibly, they've written down the date January 6th on the docket. Does anything happen
And I
there?
think that's very profound right there. I mean, that's the J6.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going to go down. Is it on that date? Is it before the date? I don't know. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is the 3 prior dates, September 24th, October 24th, and November 24th, have so far been boom, boom, and boom, 3 in a row, perfect dates. Okay, so now we're just waiting to see how this plays out. And I've been on, and then what did they reference in the case? And again, I don't want glory for this, but for the past 2 years, I'm the only guy on the internet who's been stating the Supreme Court case that states these words, and they use these words in the docket. Fraud vitiates everything it touches. They use those words in the docket, and that's what I've been stating for 2 years. So the point being is that it's truly interesting how this is all playing out, and it's wild how it's all playing out on specific dates.
You want to hear a little fun factoid about these guys? I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're trumpeters.
Yes.
They all play the trumpet. And I brought that up. I was like, that would be something that of God's hand. You know what I mean? They're trumpeters. They all play the trumpet. I don't know. I find that's the type of sense of humor I think God would have.
Well, that's the point I'm trying to bring up, right? If you start doing the checklist, okay, well, they received a doc September 23rd, 24th, okay? But then then October, and then November, and then they're trumpeters, and at what point is a coincidence not a coincidence anymore?
Well, let's think about, there's a flip side of this coin. Let's say January 6th comes and they throw it out.
And that's a possibility, okay? But my answer.
So then it kind of upsets all the other predictions that you just had.
Okay, but I understand that, but that's again because I don't know the future. All I know is that gold and silver are soon to take a moonshot vertical. They're going to break free of generations of price suppression. Gold and silver are God's money. Gold and silver will never, ever, 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 ever be worth anything of major value in a Babylonian money system. Therefore, Babylon must fall. I'm going to repeat that. Therefore, Babylon must fall. The kings of the earth, and that will fulfill Revelation 18. The kings of the earth will weep and wail in a single day. So now, you're stating, we haven't seen anything of substance. We've seen pieces coming out. We've seen light coming onto things that were done in the dark since Rosh Hashanah. And again, these files can keep coming out, and more things can keep coming out, and you can keep doing your channel for months and years on end and keep exposing little things. But you and Elon and all these people will never, and I repeat, will never be able to stop the deep stuff that's going on, okay, without the hand of God, because this has gotten to a point, right? But that's the point, right? And how long does God need? That's what I want you and your viewers to understand. See, God needs 1 day. That's all he needs. He needs 1 day. You have to look back in history. A perfect example was what happened at the Red Sea, okay? They literally got the plagues. Pharaoh kicks them out of Israel, out of Egypt. They get to the Red Sea, and still, Moses, why have you brought us here to die, right? And because it wasn't over until it was over in a single day. And in a single day, Israel went from being potentially killed because Pharaoh's coming at them, had nowhere to go, they're pinned up against the sea, to within 24 hours on the other side of the Red Sea's closed on Pharaoh's head. Pharaoh, all his army is dead, and Israel's freed. And from that point on, all nations feared Israel because of their God and what he did in what? A single day. So
A
my
moment,
point is,
really, a single moment.
a single moment, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to illustrate. So all these pieces that are being lined up, the people you have on your show, the things that you talk about, as amazing it is, I'm just trying to illustrate using gold and silver as an example, right? They've never let silver go past $49, $50. You know, they're fighting tooth and nail they'll never let gold go past $2,000, okay? Ever. It will never happen in a Babylonian money system because the money's how they did it all.
Got you. That's how they maintain control, obviously.
That's right. So they
Through our
basically
money system and through everything we see and hear, you know, entertainment, MSM, mainstream news, the whole thing. I mean, they got all their bases covered.
Exactly. So that's the essence of how important it is to understand how this is playing out. Until we see a crash of the US dollar, okay? I initially thought in October we might see a crash of the stock market, but I even said on your show that doesn't change anything big term, because what has to happen is the crash of the dollar. The dollar is the world reserve currency. So I'm going to take you through a little story here, but we went through this before, but this will help your viewers understand how crazy of a time point we're sitting at right here. And the problem is, myself, all of your viewers, I mean, all the people, so all your guests you have on your show, all the prophets that I know of, and maybe you've listened to, and your viewers have listened to, there's two things that are not available: the event and how God's going to pull this thing off, like the actual,
right?
The final, the final trump card, if you want to call it, right? You know, the final piece of the puzzle, how he's going to do it, and then we don't know the exact day and the hour of this is when it's going to happen, but we know right now. Like, we feel in our heart, it's like that close.
Yeah, I think these Twitter drops are parts of the last phase of the you know, if you want to say this is a military operation, I feel it is. I think this is all part of it. I think Elon Musk is working with the White Hats right now to drop all this information out. At least that's the way I perceive it. I could always be wrong, but I'm saying that's what I see happening right now, to red pill people, to catch the liberals up on what is going on.
And that's great. But I'm telling you, the people in charge, as powerful, maybe as strong, as much money as Elon Musk has, it's still not to the degree that the deep state, you know, the people, you know, at the core of this that have been operating, you know, secretly in secret for hundreds of years, you know, he's not going to be able to stop them, because ultimately, this is a 6,000-year story that goes back to creation. You know, we have now come to realize, you know, you yourself, you know, in one of our interviews, you know, acknowledged Jesus Christ as king, right? Because why? You know, you've come to realize that there's a higher power, and more important, you've realized that this is now a battle between good and evil.
100% spiritual war.
Yeah,
I mean, this is it. To me, this is the culmination of all wars coming into the final war, and it's spiritual. 100%.
Right. And so, and when you look at all things that happen biblically, right, when God intervenes, you see massive earth movements. Okay. So Elon Musk does not have the ability to shake the world. My point is, when this goes down, when God intervenes, the world is going to shake. I mean, physically shake.
Can I just say something about that?
Yeah.
El Paso had 2 earthquakes the other day. Well, I'd have to see when the date was. Maybe my audience could look that up. But we just had a 4 point. And look, El Paso does not get earthquakes. I've never felt one once in El Paso. We had 2, one right after the other. Amazing. I've never in my life felt an earthquake in El Paso.
Well, and then you go look at Hawaii. A volcano just went off that had been dormant for 40 years.
Jeez.
Okay, so what I'm trying to illustrate is, as much as all these people are putting pieces together, all these truth bombs that are coming out, okay, all these pieces, they're going to fight tooth and nail forever, because this is a fight to the death, David.
Yeah.
This literally is a fight to the death.
For their existence. For evil existence. Yeah.
Their existence, because if the truth comes out of what they did, this is the thing, David, this is what they know in their core. What they did was so horrendous. Look at them came out with this model stuff. You know, they had those babies covered in blood, you know, whatever that was, right?
Right.
The point is what they have done. Your viewers need to really absorb this. What they've done is so deep down horrendous, and it involves children, like stuff that you can't even imagine. You say, well, how could anybody do that to kids or to people? Because they're demonic. These are not
hate
people.
Humanity. They hate human beings. They hate us with a passion. They want our demise. They want to torture us. I mean, and when they're hurting children, that shows you just how much they really hate humanity.
Right. And why? Why? Because Satan is kicked out of heaven forever. And only thing that he can do right now, David, the only thing he has an option is because he wants to upset God, because God he's two things. He's love, because he created us out of love, and he's judge. In the end, he will be judging all these people, okay? But he's love, number one, okay? And Satan knows he's never going to go to heaven ever, ever, ever again because of what he did. He you know, God threw him out of heaven. And so all he can do now is take as many, and he knows ultimately he's going to go to hell for all eternity, right? So all he can do is take as many souls with him as possible to piss off God. That's his agenda. And so these people, you know, Christ goes into the wilderness after he's baptized, and what? Satan, you know, actually has the audacity to say to him, bow down to me and I'll make you a king on this earth. First off, why would Satan do that? Because he could. You see, he has dominion on this earth because Adam and Eve led him on. Again, this is a spiritual battle. So Satan actually offered to Jesus Christ the earth. And guess what Jesus did? Well, we know we did not guess. We know, we can read the scriptures, you know, get behind me, Satan. He rebuked him, right? But the kings of the earth, these present day kings that are doing,
they have accepted him.
They bowed down. They bowed down. And
but
so
we already won because Jesus Christ liberated humanity, right? I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, he died for our sins. That's all we need. So we've already won this.
Yes, we've already won this, but we know the end of the story. The story continues, right? Because if you read Revelation, you have to understand a sequence of events of how this thing plays out, right? You know, the seals are beginning to open. But basically, God is preparing a way for a royal wedding. Okay, so this is actually something, you know, that one of my viewers actually, you know, itemized, and it's kind of cool in how he did it. But think about this, right? It says, this cannot be the end because no husband allows his soon-to-be bride to be clothed in rags and abused and beaten up. God must clean up and dress up his bride first. He will first correct the church leaders and pour out his great blessings on his church. So the point is, if Satan had dominion right now to do what he wanted to do, to continue what he's doing, right now, we the bride, they've enslaved everybody with mortgages, student loans, credit cards, right? You're basically, most of humanity is broke because they control all the money.
The debt system, that's really what it is.
The debt money system, right? So they control the entire system is a debt-based monetary system. And what we're waiting for is God to intervene, because unless God intervenes, back to what I said earlier, unless we actually see literally what happened at the Red Sea when God intervened, Moses put out the staff, but it was God who parted it. Okay, Moses could put the staff out all day, but unless God parted that sea and then closed the sea, it wouldn't have been over, and this would have still been going on today. Pharaoh would still be in charge. My point is, we're preparing a way for the return of Christ, but before Christ returns, we're not going to be dressed in rags. So what's coming? What's coming is a great, huge worldwide revival. What's coming is blessings, financial blessings, like you and I cannot even comprehend.
How is that going to happen when the system has to fail? When the whole system, because if that's coming first, this whole system, it seems to me like Biden's in office to bring down this system, to bring down this to throw out America, basically, and basically bring down the whole entire system, money system included. So are you saying that happens first and then boom, and then we're flourishing with our finances? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, yes, in a way, I'm saying there's going to be a sequence of events is how this is playing out. Okay. So what's happening is right now, so we've talked about this, and let's actually go, to a couple of the slides, but basically the point is everything that we know is captured.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And so that's how.
Well, that's my point, is what makes you think this Brunson case is going to go anywhere? It's just a question I'm raising. If everything is justice, we're not going to, everything is captured. Nothing's going to happen no justice will be served in the justice system. Everything is a captured operation. Or do you think this one case kicks things off?
Okay, so let's talk about, so now back to what's written behind me. Bo, the analyst of time. So forget events and let's just talk about time. And we're going to go through this here, okay? So first off, let's look at timelines right here. We are at, I would say that if you asked your viewers, how many of them are at the end of their rope? I would say 99% of them would probably raise their hands. I think we all feel that way. But you have to understand from a biblical perspective, that's where God begins. When you're finished, you have no more options. You are out of options. There's nothing left to do. And you're basically finished. It's hopeless. It's impossible. See, that's when God manifests. The glory will manifest. And the impossible that we see right now that you just stated, these impossible things actually become possible. So why is it 50 years? Okay, well, if you read Leviticus, I'm going to go through a couple slides here, but in Leviticus 25, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. So why is it 50 years? Well, it's not only 50 years, Nino, it's 400 years. So we talked about Pharaoh and Moses. So Israel was enslaved to Pharaoh for 400 years. Do you realize the Mayflower landed 400 years ago, which is 8 cycles of 50? Again, I'm just calculating timelines for you. So okay. So that takes us to Exodus, and this takes us to Leviticus. The point being is, why is 50 years so important? And to answer your question, why is this Brunson case so important? I don't know. I don't know if that's the magic answer or not, but I do find the dates of the filings fascinating, and potentially this could play a huge part. So we will see. But to answer your question, I was one of the only people for the past 2 to 3 years that's been on the internet saying that crystal clear that within the next 2 years, Roe v. Wade will be overturned.
You did say that. You're correct.
Okay. So to answer your question, my question back to you is, so if Roe v. Wade is an impossibility, it was set in stone, you knew for a fact no one would overturn it. It would never happen because this was the fight of a lifetime for the Democrats. They wanted this because why? They need the kids, they need the kids BLOOD, you know what I'm saying? Yep. They need it, right? So you tell me how this happened, Nino, but it did. And
that took away a lot of their spiritual power, correct?
Yes. Okay. So now we're going to get into some more details here. Now, we're going to touch back on this, but basically, this one issue was the core of everything that you can possibly imagine. Because God is a creator of life. So if we're killing his creation, is he with us or not with us?
He's not with us. He's not with us if we're doing that.
Bingo. Okay. Bingo, Nino. So basically, if you read Romans 8, verse 31, since June 24th of this year, if God is with us, who could be against us? So now the creator, the same God that destroyed Pharaoh, the same God who sent the angel of death to Pharaoh and killed all the firstborn in Egypt, the same God that parted the Red Sea is now with us. but he wasn't with us for 50 years. Now let's continue. We go to Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. Okay, it was founded in January of 71, which makes it a 50-year jubilee.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Okay, we're going to go back now. Now, this is the essence of how they did it all. The money, the money, the money, the money. Okay, so Nixon takes us off the gold standard in August 15th of 71.
Wow.
50 years later, August 15th of 21, last year to the exact day, Kabul falls. Nino, you can't make this stuff up. It happened to the exact day. If you look at the chart to the right here, it took from when they started creating money to 1971, they created $500 billion. It's 100 years.
Jeez.
After Nixon took us off the gold standard, look at what they did with the money, Nino.
Ugh.
So when you have an infinite amount of money, what can you buy with it? Let's think politicians,
Yep.
news media, churches, family. I don't know. I can just go on and on and on, right? How do they do it, Nino? With the money, okay? So they created the money out of thin air to enslave humanity. And then to make you not think straight, they give you credit cards and debt and mortgages and student loans so you can no longer worship God, because every day your brain is twisting and working, the wheels are turning on how you can make more money just to catch up and pay your bills. And so they want you with a job, means just over broke.
Right, just your nose above water.
Yep.
Barely.
And you think, okay, so Bo's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, well, what did Saddam Hussein do in 99? He tried to trade. So what happened when they took us off the gold standard? 3 years later, they created the petrodollar, which is a very simple deal. We buy oil, they buy our US dollar bonds. That was the deal, 73. So it became the petrodollar. What happened? Saddam Hussein tried to sell oil for the euro. That didn't turn out too well for him. 10 years later, you got Gaddafi trying to sell oil for the gold dinar, using the gold dinar to sell oil. How did that turn out for him? So I'm trying to show you what happens when you come against the money system of Babylon.
Right.
Okay? So now we got another problem. Well, we don't, but they do. Okay? The issue is Putin, again, October 24th, the stamp
Right.
of the case. March 24th, another 24, Putin demands payment for gas and oil in rubles. Nino, this is an act of war based on history. The challenge is this time, it's a military superpower, so it's not so easy. The cycle charts are pointing to a military conflict breaking out really soon. We are now in a military time point. We've talked about this right here, the case. We've talked about September.
Military what are you saying when you say that?
Okay, so I'm going to show you this right. So military time point is right here. So basically the Treaty of Berlin. So on August 25th, again, August 25th, of 1921, the U.S. signed the Treaty of Berlin, ending World War I for the United States. Nino, 100 years to the precise day, on August 24th, Russia and Saudi Arabia signed a military agreement unwinding the petrodollar agreement with the United States. Because why would Saudi Arabia need a military contract with Russia if they have one with who? The United States in 73. So basically that 100 years to the mark. So now we are in a military situation here with Russia because of the agreement in Saudi Arabia. And we know that there's the things called the BRICS nations.
Right.
And we have the prophetic word of 𝗫𝗄𝗃, we will cripple you. The brothers of Goliath, meaning the BRICS nations, stand in glee, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
But aren't they considered somewhat the good guys if they're going against NATO?
Correct, right, yeah. So right now, that's fulfilling Revelation 17:17. For God has put it into their hearts, the BRICS nations, to carry out his purpose by being of one mind. So how crazy is, but the BRICS nations, this was written 2,000 years ago, the BRICS nations are now fulfilling Revelation 17:17, where they're coming together as one to take on Goliath. Now, Nino, this is crazy. This talk about the sphinxes and Egypt, right? Nino, I was in Switzerland. I went to Israel, and then I went to Switzerland right afterwards. Nino, look at this picture. Nino, they built a sphinx at the top of Europe. Look at a sphinx and look at the picture below it.
Yeah, yes, they did.
It's called the Sphinx.
Is that an observatory at the top there?
Yes, at the tallest point in Europe. Nino, I stepped off the elevator. Remember October 24th? I stepped off, which is 124. I stepped off the elevator at 124 into the Sphinx. More importantly, I didn't know it was. Yes, I was there. So when I went there, before I went there, God said, take your camera. People can go to my YouTube channel, watch this video. I was at there. God told me, before you go there, take your video camera. I want you to call out to the pharaohs of the world, let my people go. What Moses did. We did this the first week, I think it was November, the first Saturday of November. We did this, my wife and I did it. We called out the pharaohs of this world, let my people go, at the top of Europe. Why is that crazy? Because that's where Klaus Schwab, that's where the World Economic Forum is based. They built a sphinx at the top of Switzerland where the World Economic Forum is based. Nino, what is going on in this world except a battle between what? Good
and evil.
And evil. Come on. Then you got the kid. How to do with the money? You know what happened with this FTX scandal,
right?
Okay, where is the money going? There was all with the money. So again, the money. Where is the money going? Okay, this is the crazy part.
the Democrats, but let's not get too far into it on YouTube.
Exactly. That's why I don't want to say that, but basically, exactly. Look at the picture. It looped right back to them. Okay, it was nothing but a scheme. I don't want to say the word, but it was a scheme. Okay. And this is the crazy part. My cycle analysis, those who have my newsletter, Nino, my cycle analysis a month earlier, I said the Bitcoin is going to crash on November 8th. That was the day FTX crashed. My point is the cycle, you can predict in advance the cycles. You don't know in advance.
But you were right about cryptocurrency, but you were just off on which cryptocurrency?
No, I just as a general, I called out Bitcoin's going to crash on November 8th. Everybody who had my newsletter knew it. We had positions we were all supposed to buy on November 8th, 9th, because the crash was coming. We were prepared a month in advance. The point I'm trying to make is I knew the crash was coming, meaning I had the date. Because I calculate time. I'm an analyst of time. I didn't know anything about FTX. Just like I didn't know that the stock market could or not crash, doesn't have to crash. My point is, I knew the date October 24th, just like November 8th was very important. Okay, so now the cycle that predicted the crash, that same cycle is predicting something for this potential coming week. We don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what could happen on December 13th this week.
Wait, didn't I bring that date up to you? Didn't I say you asked me personally what date do I think is next? And I told you December 13th, right?
Yeah, you said December 12th, 13th. Okay, 12th. That. Yeah, well, we were right on the mark. Yeah, you said, I go, are you a prophet?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I just guessed it. So let's see. That's a guess, folks. But Bo's saying right. there's something there.
Right, I don't know. So all I'm saying is that when I look at my cycle charts, it points to December 13th being a day of interest. Will something happen on that date? I don't know, but I can tell you that it's 40 days from when Netanyahu came back into office. If you read the Bible, 40 days, 40 nights, yes. it's all over the Bible, okay? So is December 13th an important date? I don't know, but I'm just putting it out there that if something
happens, the United Nations are right now telling Jerusalem, right, or Israel to get rid of their nuclear weapons.
Oh, sure, because because this has been a 2,000-year battle to grab Israel. Okay, Satan for 2,000 years wants Israel. Okay, and it's been a fight. They've been fighting over like 10 feet of property. For the past 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much biblical history there. It's just like you got the story of Jesus, the story of Moses, you got all these biblical stories, then you got Allah, and all these, and then they superimposed, Allah superimposed everything on the same spot where Jesus did things. So now they're fighting over all these, there's the same basically
It's
10
the holy
seraphim.
ground for many religions.
Yeah, right. And so, but you have to go back and look at this, right? Israel is a covenant nation. God chose Israel. The United States is a covenant nation. God chose the United States. We're both covenant nations. So as much as these people want to kick and scream and remove, ultimately, what do they want to remove? They want to remove our Constitution because it was founded under God. What was the main line of the Constitution that evil hates? All men are created what?
Equal.
There you go. Okay, so what are they doing? Divide and conquer. First it was the blacks, and now it's the people with the red skin, the pink skin, the purple skin. Now it's the male, now it's the female. You can just go on and on
The
and
gays,
on.
the transgenders,
Yeah, exactly,
everything.
Right.
Divide,
There you go.
divide.
Yeah. And there you go. Divide and conquer. That is the essence of what is going on because of what's written in the Constitution. And I don't know how better to illustrate this to you and your viewers, but that is the essence. And so they've been using the money system. They've been using this money system for what? Thousands of years, okay? Thousands of years to enslave humanity. But now we're at a critical time point. Why? What did we say earlier? We're at a very critical time point. We're at 400 years. We're also at 50 years. Okay, yeah. So this is a very critical time point.
Cycles are very important to these people, huh?
Well, it's more important to God, because if there was a time point that God would ever intervene for his church, his bride, for us, the one that have accepted Jesus, if there was a time that God would come in to intervene, it would be on biblical, scriptural time windows. He's just not going to come in on the 48th year, or the 42nd year, or the 12th year. He's going to come in on something that he's given to his servants, the prophets, something that's written scripturally, something that's biblical. So let's look at this, okay? So if God's going to intervene, when I mean intervene, I mean earthquakes shaking the earth, volcanoes like you've never seen before. It's going to be a worldwide event that happens. When this goes down, it's not going to be the Brunson brothers. That'll be a piece of the pie. It's not going to be the Twitter files. That'll be a piece of the pie. But when God intervenes, we will know as a world that God is God, the creator of all things. And then the brothers' court case will be a piece of the pie that helps take everything down. The Twitter files will be another piece that takes everything down. But everything they do will not work anymore, because why? Because God intervened. You see, so until we have that one day where God intervenes, nothing matters. And so I'm going to read 3 scriptures to you that will give you a biblical understanding of this, okay? So Roe v. Wade was first argued in Supreme Court in December of 71, but wasn't law until January 22nd of 73, which would take it from December of 21 to January 22nd of 2023. That's 50 years.
Wow.
Okay, so we're in that 50-year window. We're looking for revival. We were all praying for revival at 9/11. Okay, you know, probably if you listen to some of the YouTubes, that there's a lot of people out there praying 2 Chronicles. Okay, 2 Chronicles states here, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face, here it is, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. So 9/11, everybody's praying that, but that's 30 years after abortion is law. The point I'm making is what? What does 2 Chronicles say? And turn from your wicked ways. We never turned from our wicked ways, Nino. Why? Because we still had what? abortion.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's why I'm making a big stink about this, because it is the crux of everything. And so on June 24th, abortion was overturned in the Supreme Court, and everybody thought that was what? Impossible, right? Why would the Brunson case have to happen? Well, because it's not going to happen. It's silly. It's stupid. And so was abortion. It was never supposed to be overturned, but it happened. So there's a Brunson, a piece of the cake, a pie. I don't know. The time points are interesting. We can leave it at that. You see what I'm saying? And so,
absolutely.
So we got Second Chronicles, and so now God, because we've overturned Roe v. Wade, what's the last thing? What's the last three words? God will heal our land. 50 years. Okay. Now, what does Leviticus 25 say? And you shall consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. So there's another scripture basically saying that God's going to heal our land. At when? At Leviticus, at Jubilee. At Jubilee. Okay. And then this is the last one that I've referenced on your show as well, and all other shows. And it's Isaiah 61. And this goes back to how you started this presentation, why we haven't seen anything yet. So let's read Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring the good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that the captives will be released and the prisoners will be freed. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Okay, but that's Jesus Christ read that in the temple, but he stopped there. It was a comma. He never read this. To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God. What I'm trying to have you and your viewers understand is that we are at that moment in time where
we're at the precipice.
Yes, none of the guests you've had on your show, none of the prophets that I listen to, maybe you listen to and other people listen to, know that precipice time point. The day and the hour this is about to blow. We don't know. I know that we're this close. And why I say that is because I just showed you the 50-year cycle, okay? God's going to heal our land. He's going to heal our land, but before that happens, we talked about this, and this is an important thing to fathom because of what's going on, okay? We showed you this, and you liked this last time I showed you it. But basically, if you read, I saw a woman, this is Revelation 17. I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was full of blasphemous names, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads, this is what we referenced. This is what's captured. The church, the family. Look what they're doing to the kids, to the family now, with all this crazy stuff, right? They're controlling the church with the 501c3s. Look at the educational system. Look at the craziness going on in the government. Look what, we know what's happening.
You forgot to put health in there.
Oh, that's part of the government, because they're working with the government. You know what I'm saying? So it's all in one. You got the entertainment and in the media, because the government writes all the laws for the medical system because of licensing, right? So because of your licensing. And the essence was, again, the money, they did it with the money. Okay. So the money system is what has controlled this. And then if you read Psalm 97, it basically says, and these are the mountains, and the mountains will melt like wax. The collapse that's coming, these people will lose everything. They're going to fall in a single day. And that basically takes us to Revelation 18, verse 8. And a single day, the kings of the earth will weep and wail. So this Babylonian money system we're talking about falls. Everything is going to fall.
But we're going to suffer as well, because if it falls, if you're not prepared, I guess with gold and silver, right?
So that's the thing, right?
That's what I would think.
But first off, when God intervenes, the financial system will break. So what does that mean? It means, well, how do they enslave? So Israel was released from the chains. What are the present day chains? The mortgages, student loans, right?
Mortgages, credit cards, all of it.
Yes, all of it. So all of that's going to break. So that's why the 30-year mortgage is called a death grip. They're bondage. So we're watching all of these things. So the grip that they're using, that is going to break. So the banking system that we know is about to collapse. And that will be the fall.
And you think that's going to happen in 2023?
I think it could even happen before year end. It could start.
Okay.
You know, we could start maybe on the 13th, maybe June.
I don't have any doubt. I know that's where it's headed. I'm just wondering, I don't know a date. I just know that's exactly where we're headed.
Yes, this is the point where no one knows the date. Okay, so I can give you importance. So there's a date, December 24th, another calculated point, which could be an interesting time point. But the one even bigger.
Give us some future dates that you have in mind.
Well, the one that I find interesting is January 24th. You want to use the word start, and then into the last few days of January could be very crazy things that are popping off in the world. So we'll see what's going on there. But that's a very interesting cycle, which I see on the patterns. It's a very important pattern that could play out in the very end of January, beginning again, October 24th. Again, you were beginning on January 24th and into month end. So we'll see, but that's another important time point. So we'll see
what's
how
another one after January. Is there another one after January?
That's as far as I've looked right now, and then but then ultimately that takes then we got into May and then the summertime as well too. So this year is going to be crazy because everything we know gets flipped upside down. So everything, so these hills that I mentioned, we're going to have a new financial system. So you mentioned gold and silver, okay? And I started the presentation off with gold and silver are never going to have value of any significance unless Babylon falls. Okay, but when Babylon falls, if you read scriptures, it's Haggai 2 verse 8, and God states the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So when God flips the money tables on the money changers, because we are about to witness, okay, we're in the beginning of end times. The first two seals have opened. We're about to see a third seal event. The third seal, and I want to show this to you and your viewers because this is rather interesting, what is supposed to potentially play out here. So the third seal is a black horse, and the rider has scales in his hands. Now the black horse represents the angel of death that visited Pharaoh. So we are supposed to see, and the prophetic word, and see if it comes to pass by Kent Christmas, was the angel of death is going to come visit these people before year end.
Ooh.
Is it going to happen? I don't know.
The angel of death will visit the deep staters, huh?
Yeah, before year end. It says the word was before this year is out, the angel of death will visit these people.
Wow.
So I don't know. I'm just repeating the word.
That's interesting. It kind of coincides with everything I'm hearing, but we'll see. We shall see.
Right. And then the financial scales will be the tipping. So in other words, the paper money system breaks and gold and silver leap vertical. And that marks the beginning of the greatest wealth transfer in human history. So, and if you understand mathematics of what's stated in Matthew, blessings are 30, 60, 100-fold, right? So you're going to see silver go from the $20 range and blessings would be 30. So that would put silver very quickly, like next year, $600. And that's only the first level of blessings. 100 puts it at $2,000 an ounce. Okay, none of these numbers are even realistic to even consider or think about because they're crazy numbers, but not if God intervenes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not if God intervenes, they become realistic. These impossible numbers become possible, and it's not only for the numbers of money; it's blessings. It's blessings go upon the church. So we're going to see spiritual revival. We are going to see the fulfillment of what was given to the prophet William Seymour. Well, 100 years ago, and William Seymour stated 100 years. William Seymour prophesied that in 100 years, God will pour out his spirit like in the days of Azusa, but greater. The Azusa Street Revival, if you know what that was, it was basically as great, or it was crazy what was going on there. It was kind of like the Holy Spirit came to the apostles. They were bringing people, back to life. It was just crazy that was going on in Azusa. And what's supposed to happen is greater. So he died. It was 100 years this year. So we're about to see a historic revival that was prophesied by William Seymour. The prophets, Robin Bullock, incredible prophet, Kent Christmas, Julie Green, Amanda Grace, what have they all prophesied? Their key words was they, meaning the deep state, meaning the move in, what they've done to come in, the evil ones, they came early. It's not the time. They came early. Okay, so that takes us to, what's about to happen when all this stuff goes. We're at harvest. We just passed harvest. What God will not be mocked. These people have mocked God, and now Galatians 6 verse 7 states, "For what a man soweth, thus shall he reap." So we are going to see crazy stuff happen here. We just don't know right now. It's at the point, Nino, where it's literally the day and the hour, and we just are sitting, biting at the bit here going, what day and what hour is it? You see? But when it happens, it's going to be biblical. And biblical means worldwide earthquakes, volcanoes.
Hey, I like what you did with my book there.
Yes, so I did this for you, and I want to show you because I want to do this because you call it when the lights go out. This is prophetic what you did because you don't realize what you did. But what I initially when you said that, what I initially and immediately heard was when they come back on is the great return.
Oh,
so
glad you didn't say his name. Good job.
Yes.
I was like, no,
yes.
don't do it.
When they come on, it will be the great return. And then we will have worldwide celebrations. Does it happen before year end? I got no idea, but we're at 50 years. Does it happen in January? Could be this year. We're so close, Nino. We're at 50 years. So all I'm saying is we're going to come back to the covenant that they're trying to destroy. We have a covenant with God, the Constitution. They're trying to destroy it. We're going to come back to it either by the end of this year or very early next year, and everything gets flipped.
So you're saying it's go time.
It's go time. This is it. This is it. And there will not be no 2024. I'm not using the word. There will be, because he's going to come back in and get a 4 solid years. So 23, 24, 25, 26. That's the next date for the big,
Boom. That's huge. That's a big one. I agree.
That's how this is going to play out.
Bro, I agree with you on that.
God puts everything on hold. It's a redo. It's an unwinding of what happened for the past 2 years. This was intentional. God did it the 2 years to show the world, to have you, Nino, be out there and shine the spotlight in the dark on what's been done in the dark. That's what I saw this morning. I saw it crystal clear, and it said, "Tell David I love him." I saw that this morning, okay? That's what I saw. The point is the past 2 years is God wanted us to shine the spotlight on how evil and sick these people are. But it's not the people, it's how evil and sick evil is. How sick and disgusting evil is. We've seen it now for 2 years. God also did this for 2 years. He gave the evil ones who actually bowed down. Remember, God created them. So as much as they bowed down to evil, they could have turned from their wicked ways and repented. God said to them, "Turn from your wicked ways, repent. Come back, my wayward sheep." But they refused like Pharaoh, and they've dug in their heels too. So you've dug in your heels. I've dug in my heels, and so have they. Except we've dug in our heels with Jesus. We planted in good soil. They've dug in their heels in concrete, or in sand, better word, in sand.
Yes.
That's where they dug in their heels. And now we're about to see God is two things. He's love and he's judge. And rarely does he ever want to come out and judge. He sat on his throne for 2,000 years, and he's about to do something he hasn't done. And we're about in generations, and we're about to see biblical move upon this earth. Why? Because God loves his creation. Because we are in end times, and God is going to make a way for his bride. He's going to clothe his bride in glory. He's not going to make his bride all wigged out, in poverty, in famine. Not going to happen. He's going to take care of his bride. So we are watching end times play out. But this is, as I stated, this is not the rise of the beast system. Okay, so everybody is so wigged out and concerned that we're watching the rise of the beast. Okay, this is not the rise of the beast, and I've shown this in my slides before, and I'll show it just one last time here. But basically, what we're seeing right now is the fall of the harlot. So, if you share the screen, if I share the screen here,
yeah, you can.
So what we're going to see here is the fall of the harlot. And it's interesting that, the queen had her throne for 70 years and 7 months.
Really?
Yes. So she is a representation of the harlot. And then if you look at why 70 years important, because that's when the King Cyrus released Israel from Babylon to go back to rebuild their temple. So another cycle, this is the fulfillment of the prophecy of Jeremiah of 70 years. So it was written that King Cyrus, who God called out by name, would free Israel from Babylon and be set free to go back and build the temple, fulfilling scriptures of 70 years. So it's just interesting that we literally are at the 70-year mark of the prophecy of Jeremiah. We're at the 400-year mark, which is 8 cycles of 50 jubilees of Mayflower, which was biblical and scriptural, which was what happened which would you go back to Israel and Pharaoh. And now we're at Jubilee here of 50 years with the dollar, with Klaus Schwab, and most importantly, abortion, because God is with us. Who could be
against us? Well, I think that's a wrap. I want to say thank you for coming on. I'll talk about the title of the video. I'm going to put it up today. I'm going to premiere it tonight. So everyone, 𝗏𝗏, where can they find you, Bo?
My website is gold2020forecast.com. And if you want to see recent videos, you can also go to YouTube and just put my name in Bo and then Polny, P-O-L-N like Nancy, Y. Nino, God bless you for what you do. You are a warrior. You are powerful. You know that. God, you got the stuff that you went through, all the beating up and everything you went through, was God had knocked you down so low that he could raise you up. And look at what you're doing now, Nino.
Or he was using me as a punching bag.
So let me use you as a perfect example of the world. Okay. That's why God is going to take away idol worship. He's going to take away people's money. Why? Because when you lose everything, when you lost everything, you realize what? It wasn't all that bad, because you still had your family, you had your
I still had God. I didn't give up on God.
Right? And at the end,
I felt even closer to God.
Bingo. So that's how you want to end. That's how I want to end this, right? God's in charge. He did what he did to you, and I went through the same thing too in my life. Okay, don't think that I'm doing this, and it was like all rah, joy. No,
it's tough love, and that's sometimes the only way you can learn.
You have to be knocked down, because if you get knocked down, it is only then when you find God and he can raise you up.
1000%. Bo, thank you so much for coming back on my show, having the balls to come back on my show. I think you've stated your case very well, and you redeemed yourself. You're always welcome on my show. So thank you so much, Bo. I'll talk to you right now. Don't hang up.